Oh, and I sure hope I'm live. It's always a struggle when you're here alone. Let's see. And is there a delay? Ooh. Will the comments appear? Oh, yes, I think I'm there. There we are. Will the comments appear? Yes, okay, excellent. Let me turn that down. Yes, it's always a struggle when you're here alone, and technology, ooh, I swear, sometimes it just likes to change on us. Oh, now I can see comments. Yay, lovely. And Mary Ella is here, and Anne Marie and Madeline. Lovely. Hello. Oh, fantastic. I'm so glad I'm not alone. Oh, and Jean is here. Lovely. So wonderful. Hello, everyone. Yes, can you believe it? Another Friday. I hope it's beautiful weather where you are. I am here from my palatial estate in Collingwood, Ontario, Canada. And I must say, oh yes, it's finally, oh, knock wood, finally beautiful weather. And yes, we certainly hope to, I'll try not to take too long, but there's always so much information for me to share with you all. But I'll try not to take too long because I know, especially you in the States, you've got a busy long weekend ahead of you. We just had our long weekend in May. Victoria Day was just on Monday, so we already had our long weekend here in Canada, and then you've got your long weekend in the States. So I will try not to keep you all too late, and then you can go out and enjoy your beautiful sunny day. Oh, and I see, yes, June is here, and Sandra, and Noreen. I love it. Oh, it's wonderful. And Sue, fabulous. Oh, thank you, everyone, for joining me today. It is so wonderful to connect with you all. I've been a little sick lately, but again, nothing will stop me from sharing the Janome love. So that is wonderful. Oh, and Sharon is here. Fantastic. That is great. And don't you love having your Continental CM7 or your CM17 because of that clock? I always need somebody to help me keep track of my time. So isn't it wonderful to have a sewing machine with a clock on it now? That's something we've been asking Janome for years. So I'm thrilled to have that because then I can see on my CM17 that it is after 3 o'clock. So then, yes, I will get started. And then, there's always so much to share. So, yes, everything looks good here. So fantastic. So lovely. So thank you everyone for joining me today. It is fabulous to see you all here in the Janome Continental Club. My name is Michael Smith. I'm the National Consumer Education Manager of Janome Canada, and I'm thrilled to be back with you live here again from my palatial estate to share with you a technique, again, you may not be that familiar with here on your CM17, but this variable zigzag technique, again, we can do it on our Continental M7. Oh, we could do it on Skyline S9. It was on the 15,000. I believe even Skyline S7 has it. Memory Craft 15 or the 9450, 9400. It's all within the sewing applications menu. So I will show you how to access it, and again, some of the fun that you can have with it. It is just one of those things, again, you'll probably not really be that familiar with on your machine, but it's there, so just some time to sit back and have some fun. So let me flip this around. Boom, there we are. So here in my fabulous CM17. So this variable zigzag, what is it? We're all used to a zigzag stitch, but this variable zigzag is quite fun because we use, believe it or not, we use our knee lifter. Let me slide that there. Our knee lifter, we use the knee lifter in order to create this variable zigzag technique. So it's quite cool. Many of us are familiar with using our knee lifter to raise and lower the presser foot for regular sewing, but when we're in this variable zigzag mode, we use this knee lifter to actually increase or decrease the width of our stitch. So, variable zigzag, here we are. Can you all see that it varies the width of the zigzag stitch. It's in free motion mode here. Feed dogs are dropped. And again, the great thing is it's within our sewing applications menu. So the sewing applications, again, is the machine asking you, well, what do you want to do? And you say, oh, I want to select a variable zigzag. And then the machine is set up for you automatically. So those feed dogs drop, and then you do this variable zigzag free motion. So it's up to you, in this case, to determine the length of that stitch when it's all in free motion. And then again, as you'll see there, then I vary the width to my 9mm wide, as we have on our CM17, a 9mm wide machine. Or then again, we can go down to a little skinny zigzag. Now, ultimately, if we don't activate that knee lifter at all, it just becomes a regular straight stitch, as it is up here. So just regular straight stitch if we don't activate that knee lifter when we're in this variable zigzag mode. So isn't that cool? Again, little zigzag, then again a little bit of straight, and then this reminds me of, you know, in the hospital you see those little ticker tape machines for the heartbeat. That's what that reminds me of. So you can really have some fun and do some, again, particularly some decorative effects. I think of thread painting. Wouldn't this be fun for all of you art quilters out there to experiment with this variable zigzag technique? Now you'll see along this edge of my little quilt sandwich here, I used the variable zigzag, and I was able to put the right needle side right here along the edge of my fabric. So then the swing of my zigzag, my 9mm, went over to the left. So I was essentially like zigzagging down this edge, and I was like securing down that edge. Now I could, depending on my length, because again, we're in free motion, so depending on how quickly I move my fabric, we could even make a nice little satin stitch. This could be all closer together there. That would really help finish off the edge of my fabric, which is what I was doing over here. How about using this variable zigzag technique for an non-traditional applique? So we can easily do, you know, we've got applique stitches all in the CM17 here, many applique stitches in many of our Janome machines, but how about we use the variable zigzag? In this case, again, I was trying to keep it all justified here along the left edge, and then it went zigzag to the right there to finish off this raw edge. And then again, depending on how you move your fabric, you know, how quickly, then you can make this zigzag stitch very wide, or in this case, I made it more narrow. I didn't move my fabric as quickly. So by the time I got to this edge here, again, boom, that's nice and tight. So again, you're forming basically like a satin stitch when you don't move your fabric as freely. So then you really end up finishing the edge of that fabric. So isn't that a very cool technique? Ooh. So yes, this variable zigzag stitch, again, what is it? Where is it? How do we access it? You know, we'll go over everything. So the first thing is, yes, your knee lifter. Now it comes with the CM17 and again, a number of machines. And your knee lifter, yes, you will need to put it in the front of your machine. And if your CM17 in particular sits on top of your machine, or on top of your table as mine does, you really need to move your machine forward in order to then put this knee lifter, again, make sure it's all the way in. And don't you love, again, how this accessory compartment here on the CM17, it has that hole in it to accept the knee lifter. The knee lifter is all the way into the bed of the machine, which is way over here, but again, because of that hole in this accessory compartment. So my knee lifter is in. So did you know as well, on your knee lifters though, there is a little screw up on the top of the knee lifter here, so you can undo that screw and then you can position this knee lifter. Again, you can bring it you can change the angle of the knee lifter a little bit. When I extend it here, do you see how that's going to change the angle of the knee lifter? And then you bring it in a little closer, or then you bring it out more of an angle. So when it's out like that, it's going to be, again, more at an angle, because then you want to control, your knee is going to control that knee lifter to create this variable zigzag stitch. So you can adjust the angle of your knee lifter to make it a little easier to make a better contact with your knee, simply by adjusting that screw up there. And then make sure to tighten it really good before you insert it in your machine, or else it won't work quite effectively. Now, some people even said, that they put pool noodles or something like that here around their knee lifter in order so they have better contact. So, however it is better for you. Now, you'll see as I activate this knee lifter, I'm just in regular manual sewing here. So then again, it's going to raise and lower that presser foot. But when we're in variable zigzag mode, it's going to adjust the width of our zigzag stitch. Now, because we're going to be doing free motion quilting, something else I always love to recommend is this low tension blue dot bobbin holder. Now, for the CM7 and Continental M7 and CM17, we need the Continental M7 low tension blue dot bobbin holder. It is very specific to the M7 and CM17, in part because of this little hole here, because that's where that laser light reads to the low tension or the low bobbin indicator. But this low tension blue dot bobbin holder, you may be able to see in the basket there, it says 8 grams. So it has less tension on it. So it's not going to pull down your needle threads to the backside. It's going to allow you to move more freely, since again, this can be free motion wise. We can move our fabric in any direction. So for any kind of free motion quilting or ruler quilting, we always recommend this 8 gram low tension blue dot bobbin holder. So I am going to just quickly, boom, boom, don't you love that, to raise up our needle plate so I can quickly change out my bobbin holder. Now, when we put in our bobbin holder, again, make sure that that little black thumb is behind that metal finger, but I like to just do this, run my finger around it, make sure, it's locked into place and it's flat. So I know there's not going to be any trouble. And then, yes, we still want to use our zigzag needle plate. A lot of the times when we do free motion quilting and ruler quilting, we do recommend the straight stitch needle plate. But here with variable zigzag, we're obviously going to be doing wide stitches. So we do need that wide or zigzag needle plate. Now, we have many feet. As usual, Janome is all about presser feet. So we have many feet included in our machine. Again, typically for free motion quilting, we're most familiar with either like our darning foot here, and this has got the, again, wide opening, so zigzag, this would be fine to use for variable zigzag. And the darning foot, again, it hops up and down very easily. So that would be great. Free motion quilting, we've got the closed toe or the open toe foot here. But again, we're going to be doing zigzag, wide zigzag. So these feet will not work for variable zigzag. We need to maybe use this big clear view foot, which I say often looks like a dinner plate. So we could use that foot. But you know, a few years ago, Janome came out with this adorable little totally clear foot called the QZ or QZ, is the variable zigzag foot. Now you'll see it's got a very low profile, that there's barely any toes here to this foot. Perhaps a little more visibility, again, than this clear view foot, than that variable zigzag foot. Again, we've got great visibility because then our needle, can swing, to the left and to the right, 9 millimeters, nice and wide, and again, great visibility of the needle. So this dedicated variable zigzag foot is one you could use for regular free motion variable zigzag. We'll get into the A.S.R in just a moment. But yes, when we attach any of these feet, just as a reminder, our foot holder here, we have actually two little clips. Most of the time our presser feet just snap in to this center hole here, this little center notch, and they just snap on. But with these feet, this variable zigzag foot and the free motion foot and this clear view foot, there is an extra bar on the back. So we have to make sure that we put that bar across the back first and then clip it up into position like that. So that's how we could do our variable zigzag. Again, make sure to snap it up in the back first and clip it up like that. So then we would put this foot on and do our variable zigzag. But of course, we have more options. Because we have the fabulous, with the Continental M17, oh yes, the fabulous A.S.R, Accurate Stitch Regulator. So yes, we can now do variable zigzag, free motion-wise, but with stitch regulation because of that fabulous A.S.R Accurate Stitch Regulator. So we could use this for variable zigzag as well. So many options. Again, we've got regular variable zigzag, totally free motion, where you are the stitch regulator. If you're going to use this foot, you're moving the fabric, you are the stitch regulator. Whereas, we could do variable zigzag here with the A.S.R, and we get that A.S.R Accurate Stitch Regulator to help regulate our stitches. Now, again, to variable zigzag, we're not going to use this closed toe foot, so we just quickly, there's a little button right at the back, and we just release, and then we can use this big clear view foot, and it just snaps in place like that. So just release, and then angle it up like that, and then boom, it just snaps into place. Very easy. So let's use this big clear view. Again, I call it the dinner plate, or someone actually in one of my seminars says it looks like the Starship Enterprise. So I had to agree. So I'm going to drop my foot, and then I'm going to use the screwdriver. We definitely want to give this a nice, good snug, just to make sure it's not going anywhere. Ooh, then that should be good. My hands are a little slippery because I always put on hand cream just before I do my live, and then everything is slipping. Now with the A.S.R, again, remember that it will not work unless this cable is connected into the back of the machine. There is a little port at the back of the machine, and it can only go in one way. So make sure, boom, there, to snap it in, and we're good to go. Now you can go back to review some other previous live presentations that I did all about the A.S.R and how to snap everything in. We've got some wonderful blogs on Janome Life about it as well. So there we go. There is our clear view foot setting up, ready to do variable zigzag. One of the last things, again, to get ready for your machine, anytime we're going to be doing free motion quilting or ruler quilting, we always love recommending the Janome purple tip needles with that flared cobra head that helps separate the fibers of the fabric, and it intersects the needle thread can come down and intersect a little more readily with the bobbin thread by having that flared cobra head to separate the fibers of the fabric. So it just makes, again, less birds nesting, less eyelashing on the backside. So that's a good recipe with your low tension blue dot bobbin holder. Make sure it's for Continental M7 and CM17, and then again your purple tip needles, and you are good to go. So now we've got our knee lifter in our machine, and yes, let's set up our machine itself for variable zigzag. So again, super simple to get into. This is one reason why, that we pay for these higher end machines. They definitely do some thinking for us. So let's go into our home button here to access our sewing applications mode. So then we go into our little curly Q with the heart. That is our quilting categories, and go, what do we would like to do? Free motion quilting, ruler quilting. Now we're going to select variable zigzag. Boom! It's that simple. So our feed dogs, have already dropped, and we can select any of these stitches. Now you'll see I have on the LCD screen, for stitch number 1, it's recommending the PDH darning foot. Well, that's not what I want. I have, again, that clear view with the A.S.R. Accurate Stitch Regulator on. So again, people are, let's move that out of the way. Don't want any accidents here. My throat is always so dry. So again, we don't want to be using that foot. And you may wonder, well, where is the A.S.R? I see it here. It's just all grayed out. We just haven't selected the correct stitch yet. So just by process of elimination, let's go over, is it free motion number 2? Well, no, it's still recommending that PDH darning foot. So no, we don't want to use that one. Oh, look, we're getting closer. Now, free motion 3. Now, M, if you've ever wondered, that's middle needle position. L is left needle position here. If I select that one, again, it justifies all the stitches to the left and then swings over to the right. So it could be either free motion 3 or free motion 4. Both have that clear view icon. So again, we're definitely getting closer to the stitch that we would like. Now we have that A.S.R. is illuminated. So I'm going to select my free motion middle needle position. So my zigzag is going to swing to the left and the right of middle needle position. And now I'm going to activate that A.S.R. Now, before I do, though, let's quickly look at our LCD screen here, and you see there's our needle tension that we could adjust. And the default width, it is automatically 9 millimeters because we have a 9 millimeter machine. Oh, but we could, if we only wanted our zigzag to be 7 millimeters, for example, we could change that here. So we could set the default to be whatever width we choose. We have 9 millimeters. We might as well use it. And now this little icon here next to the A.S.R., if I click the little presser foot, this is the height. The foot is just going to hover over our fabric. Since again, we're going to be in free motion, technically, we can move our fabric in any direction. So this is just going to hover over the fabric. Now, if we have, again, a really low loft batting, maybe some flannel, nothing too thick, it's set at 1.5. Oh, we could drop it even closer, maybe 1.0. Do your little testing. If you find, though, you're doing your free motion quilting and your foot is like dragging on your fabric and it's really hard to move, then you definitely want to increase back to either the 1.5, or let's say you've got 2 layers of batting, something very thick, or your thicker layers, you can ultimately increase it and have that foot hover a little higher than the fabric itself. So just do your testing. If you notice, if you have your foot way up high and you're getting a lot of thread breakage, it could be that because, your foot is too high from your fabric, so you need to drop it down. So I'm just going to start with default, see where we go, and then we can always adjust it later. So let's click OK. And then again, now we can hit that, A.S.R. and you will see all those other stitches that are not compatible with our A.S.R. Accurate Stitch Regulator have grayed out. Now I can only select free motion 3 or free motion 4. And there is our little Starship Enterprise icon. So now you'll see, there's my needle tension that we can adjust. There's the default width we could adjust. And now we have a stitch length that we could adjust. Default is set to 2.4. We could make it further wider, or we could make it more narrow, a tighter stitch length. So that's entirely up to us. Again, we'll put it on default here because now we're in A.S.R, Accurate Stitch Regulated mode. So that is the fun where we have a little bit more control. The A.S.R is definitely like, again, some training wheels when you're doing some free motion quilting. Now, also a thing that you may wish to have when you're free motion quilting, there are some products that there's like a flexible glider that you can put on the bed of your machine to make it really nice and slick. I love using these. These are the Machinger gloves that have this rubbery grip surface on the fingers of the gloves, so that makes free motion quilting a little easier because then it helps grip your fabric. So again, double check with your Janome dealer what products they may have. We've got, from the So Comfortable line, we've got like the Janome palm paddles, for example, that would also help you move your fabric a little more easily. So double check with your dealer with what they have to make things easier for you. So of course I've got a camera right in front of me, but I'll try to do this. Okay. So again, variable zigzag. I have here my quilt sandwich. Now, every time we're going to use the A.S.R, remember we always need at least about 3/4 of an inch of fabric under that A.S.R. So that's why I've got my quilt sandwich with my backing bigger than my batting and my top. So that way there's always fabric under the regulator. So something else I've also done, just for me personally, you experiment and see what works for you. Do you want to use your foot pedal, or do you want to remove your foot pedal and just use your stop start button? I've removed my foot pedal and I just have my stop start button. It's one less thing for me to think about when I use this knee lifter. And I'm just going to show you, this is what I'm going to be doing. This knee lifter action as I'm going to be stitching. I equate it to, remember Suzanne Summers with her Thigh Master? It's kind of, you're doing your Suzanne Summers Thigh Master. So you're getting a workout out at the same time. Now, currently right now, again, that's going to raise and lower my foot, but once we finally get starting stitching, it's going to increase the width of that zigzag. So away we go. Now, the great thing is when we get started, we have a 1-stitch stop, so we can raise our foot and we can bring up our bobbin thread. So that helps us grab on. Sometimes it's a little short, but it'll help us. Can I grab it? It'll help us make it. I couldn't quite get it. You can always repeat it. It will help us, again, just keep things a little neater. There we go. A little neater underneath the bottom of the quilt by holding on. Whoops. Sorry, my hands are always in the way there. So I brought up my needle thread with that 1-stitch stop. If you happen to miss it, you can always drop it down again, your needle down again. Maybe I'll put you all on this side. There, maybe that'll be better. Okay, so, and you just need to make sure I don't hit this camera with that knee. So now I've got my threads here. I can hold on to them. I'm going to press the stop start and away we go. Now every time we're using that stitch regulator, again, it illuminates. Now also, as you're just trying this new technique, make sure you drop your speed down. So I have it really slow. Can you see my needle being, as I activate that knee lifter, there we go. It's going quite wide, and now I'll go more narrow. It's very awkward sewing off to the side. But yes, as I'm going very wide now, but then I'm going to go more narrow. And again, if you don't use that knee lifter at all, it's just going to sew as a straight stitch. And then we can go out even wider there. maybe I'll turn it up a little faster. And again, we're in free motion now. So you decide, we can go around in circles, and again, we can be changing the knee lifter. Now this is where, again, thread painting, I think, would be amazing, as we could just feather out that edge. So you could really be doing, again, your art quilts, really add a lot of texture. And then when you're using your stop-start button, again, make sure you wonder, hey, my machine won't stop. Make sure you always hit your stop-start button. So it's really fun when you do your little experiments like this. You cut up, again, all your little fabric, make your little sandwiches here. So as I'm doing my variable zigzag, again, when you're not using the knee lifter at all, it's just going to go in a straight line. But then here was my 9mm wide. And then again, I went down to nothing, so it's a straight stitch. And then again, I just started going around. Oh, you can go around and play, move in a circle, move in any direction, since it is free motion. And in this case, we've got the A.S.R, so then our stitches are regulated as I'm going along. So again, you can do all your, again, thread painting, feathering. It's just so much more free. Look at this line of variable zigzag versus the regular satin stitches are all nice and beautiful, but they're just so rigid. Whereas now, again, variable zigzag, that you've got more movement of it. So again, as a way to do some applique, isn't that beautiful, of how you can feather in that edge, really get a lot of unique configurations. And again, on the back side, it looks actually pretty good too. Again, especially with that purple tip needle, really helps. And that low tension blue dot bobbin holder definitely helps. Again, your stitches create more even at the back. So here, I just wanted to go, as usual, the time went by so fast. When we were going into our settings, though, you may have heard that little beep as I was doing my stitching. We can go into our settings mode here, and then let's go into the machine sewing settings, which is category number 2, and then we skip over to the third page. Here is where we can adjust the sensitivity of that A.S.R. So if we hear that overspeed warning, that's definitely the machine telling us, hey, you're going a little too fast, slow down. Now, we can ultimately turn that off, but it's there as a, safety mechanism, to help us. So I say don't turn it off. But instead, you need to adjust the speed of your hands versus the speed of the machine. But if you find you're a really good, proficient free motion quilter, maybe you don't need that A.S.R to be as sensitive, so you can turn down the sensitivity. Or consequently, you're doing your testing and you think, my stitches aren't being, quite as consistent as I would like. You could always turn it up. You can also even adjust slightly the you can either turn it down or up the sensitivity for the knee lifter, specifically for that variable zigzag. So there is still some customizing you can do with those settings when you are specifically using that A.S.R. And remember, anything that you do change here in your settings, and if you're going to adjust any of this, make sure that you always hit OK in order to save it. So, in a big whirlwind, that is a little bit more about your fabulous A.S.R. Accurate Stitch Regulator, specifically for that variable zigzag technique. But again, you could be in regular total free motion variable zigzag, again using either the regular clear view foot or perhaps with this cute little QZ foot for regular variable zigzag just without stitch regulation. Now, our Janome Canada artisan Kim Jamieson Hirsch actually did a wonderful blog post on Janome Life with a special project doing the variable zigzag technique. So you can go to Janome Life, and in your search box, you could type in variable zigzag, and all the related posts will come up. So you will find a little bit more about it. Lovely, there we go. And of course, we can always come back and do more, because I find that time goes by way too fast when we're having fun, and again, particularly here on a long weekend. So thank you everyone for joining me today. It's absolutely wonderful to be back in the Continental Club with you all, and I hope you have a wonderful and safe weekend, and I hope to see you all soon. Thank you. Bye.